was probably one of first person that Khalil met. And we met, and Khalil told me some really great stories about how great a medical planner he was, and how we were going to do medical planning projects together. And I just kept on playing with him, thinking that, let him at least feel good that he's come to Canada and he's met some architect that does a lot of medical hospitals, etc. I just finished a project, but I was not a person that was doing that many projects. I had some work from the Arcon University. And then, as luck would have it, we were invited to participate in a proposal call in Nairobi, and there was a major expansion of the Heart and Cancer Center in Nairobi. And Khalil and myself went to Nairobi, made a presentation, and we won the project. And we completed the project, and we will share with you some of the slides of that. So that's how all of us are together. So, I wasn't trying to be rude, but I'm the only person that links all of us. So there we go. So now, Khalil is a medical planner, a world-class medical planner. I have a boutique office in Vancouver. We do world-class projects. We've done lots of design competitions, lots of awards, and our reach is big, even though we are in Vancouver. We have a 10, 12% office, which is scalable, but that's our constant size of office. And we've done projects in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Pakistan, Tajikistan, Dubai, Portugal. So we've done a lot of work all over the place, Atlanta, and our reach is big. And we have over the years learned how to do projects overseas by teaming and how we work. So we can go to the next slide, Khalil. Khalil.
Yeah, I've got to the next step.
Okay, so basically, team structure emphasizes on continuity and flexibility throughout the project. Quite often, you will see principals of firm that will come in, make a dog and pony show, and eventually disappear. You never see. So this is a team that they come together, and three of us always remain on projects throughout the project. And in our case, in this case, we have Mukhtar. Mukhtar is part of our team, and Mukhtar has introduced us to everybody, and he's our connection to this project. So we're dedicated to remain engaged on the project throughout the duration. The project team will be led by me, and all of us don't see a hierarchical situation. All of us are friends, and work together as a team. Um, we bring disciplines, including project management, design, and medical planning, which Khalil does, other technical services, and these are all supported by us and in Karachi from Mukhtar's office. Uh, the team structure is scalable. We can make it as large or as small as we need. And over the years, we've done projects together. So we have worked together. So it's not like we've got this marriage that we put together just for this project. Khalil, next. Khalil, next. Okay. So how do we do things? First of all, we believe that the change is the only constant. We design an environment that accommodate change rather than resist it. Our approach embraces flexibility and creativity. This is one of the key success factors of our team. Big thing is that we listen carefully to our clients and understand the organizations. Our services are tailored to meet the current and future growth needs. We design private healthcare facilities guided by strong spirit of service. Our work is market driven, so it's not just designing pretty buildings. We do buildings that are market driven and comprehensive and deliver comprehensive healthcare services. We integrate leading edge technology in our design, and we build to international expertise. Our reputation and our alliances are the one that actually keeps us in a situation where we are sought after. The environmental responsibility has now become the most critical part of how we work. We have the Quran basically says that the human being is the steward of the planet, and environmental stewardship is a critical piece of how we work. Next slide. Our methodology. We are client focused and we provide personalized skill. As I mentioned earlier, we don't run away once we've got the project and put some junior to run the project. We are on the project. We are committed to the design brief, schedule. We have a belief in collective process. Owner and the design team have to become one. And when we go later, we want to become one with the contractors when we move forward. There should be a clear definition of the project goals on the outside. And this is what we will discuss at the end of this presentation. Active user participation in the design process. So this is not done in isolation. We want to engage with user groups, etc. Um, through research and listening, all phases of the project, the principals are involved throughout the process. The design solutions add long-term client value. Next, function and aesthetics. We take pride in our work and value every client and every project. We have won numerous awards, and at the end of the presentation, we'll give you a list. It's too long to even think about, but we won lots of awards and competition, and this is through our work that we've done across the world. We pursue excellence in sustainability, functionality, and budget consideration. Our architecture responds to humanistic requirements and create lasting beauty and meaning for spaces and buildings that the users will use. We design with respect of the environment. We apply evidence-based design informed by the latest construction technologies, and the philosophy and quality of work inspire long-term relationships with our client. For example, we've been involved on the Aga Khan Development Network projects ever since I started at Karachi, and I continue to do projects for the Aga Khan Development Network. And Khalil and works with his clients on an ongoing basis, and Tariq, of course, has been involved with us on many of our projects and his own projects also, which we will see in the presentation. Next. Yeah, budget considerations are central to the design process. No point in having a project which does not respond to budget. So high quality design services, innovative solutions, and clear documentation and schedule control and ensure the cost control is effective in our outcomes. Most of our projects are delivered on time and budget. I say most because it's impossible to say all, but we have a very good percentage of our projects that are delivered on budget. And sometimes budgets slide because client may want changes, they want situations or regulatory requirements or unforeseen circumstances on site, soil conditions, etc. So there are many factors where budget may not be 100% possible to achieve. But our objective is to do that, and we do that very thoroughly by reviewing design at concept, schematic design, 30%, 60%, 90% pre-tender, and then during tender. So we're constantly monitoring the budget situation. We have an outstanding track record of our projects, and we have repeat clients as a result of that. We build a collaborative teams with all that are involved. We participate, we provide clear leadership and meeting clients' briefs, budgets, and schedules. Our designs are contextually appropriate. One of the big things about us is that our buildings are local wherever they are. So if we are in Karachi, it is a Karachi building. If we are in Vancouver, it'll be a Vancouver building. If you're in Tajikistan, a Tajikistan building. We don't impose our architecture onto climates and context situations. Next. Khalil? Okay. So quality control is another integral part of how we work. So we've got proven success through completed projects. Quality is done by respect for skilled people, whether they're consultants or trades. Flexible and creative approach to architectural leadership. Quite often you have heard, oh, architects are very difficult people. Architects are prima donnas. They want whatever they want. This is not the way we work. We see that skills are everywhere and we go and respect skills where they are. So, for example, if I were to go to a site and a tradesperson shows me a different way of doing something than what I have already got on my drawings, I respect that. We will review it, we will check it. If it works and if it is better for the project, we will take it. So next slide. We are open to alternate methods of doing things. And then we now look at project administration. Project administration is integral part of the success of our projects. Coordinated teamwork across all stakeholders. As soon as we have all of people that are from the owner side have participated, we move on to the construction side with a team of designers and engineers. We work it collaboratively, and then on the site. We set up clear procedures and communication lines, and we have played an active role during project implementation. We visit sites regularly and are responsive in supporting the project. One of the key is that because we are long distance, we have methodologies in place, how we communicate with people, what kind of people are actually placed in situations to deliver the project becomes critical part of how we work. Next slide, Khalil. Okay, so this is a very small selection of projects that we've been involved in. It's so long and we've been in practice a long time, but we've just selected a few projects just to share with you the breadth of what we do. Um, this first project is in Karachi, and that's why we chose this project so that you know that our work is not foreign to Karachi. My first major project was in Karachi, and our first major international university project that we won is also happens to be in Karachi. So Memon University in Karachi we were a design winner of a design competition, which was organized by the Memon Health and Education Foundation. And they came with a very large program and basically told us that we would like to incorporate this into the project. And we looked at it and we said, we cannot really look at such a small site for this kind of project and really bring value. But it was a design competition. So the way we actually worked was that we used the idea of Islamic geometric design or Islamic gardens. And the idea of the gardens was actually instilled into the design project. And we created a vertical sky garden campus where even though the project the site was really small, we were able to accommodate a very beautiful building that responds to the culture, climate, and context, and it's the idea of gardens that are connected to the project. When we completed the design competition, we were against some big name firms, including Norman Foster from England, and we were the winning. We had the winning submission. The clients actually asked us to do a master plan for the whole campus, which is 1.4. Khalil, stay behind, please. Don't just go back, please. One more. Okay. So, no. So the clients asked us to be involved in the master planning of the whole site. There's an existing hospital, and they asked us to look at how we can accommodate a very large, long scale, long term objective of what this growth of this project will be. So we designed a master plan of 1.4 million square feet for the project, and we are currently now we've completed the schematic design of the campus, and we are proceeding along. So next slide, Khalil. So the architecture of the building is based on local understanding, local context, and local materials, etc. And we have this idea of the Islamic gardens that really become the core of the design. Next. So if you see the building, originally the campus had the residences, the two towers on the left you see are residential buildings. But now the client has decided to move the residences out of the campus, but we are still working on the building. And if you see the little image at the bottom of the slide on the left, you're seeing gardens actually wrapping around the building. And if we next go to the next slide, Khalil. And what it is that there's a whole series of programs. Maybe you want to go back, Khalil. Sorry. Okay, so what you see in the tower are different colors which are different faculties of the university, and the design is done in such a way that you basically have the ability to get to your faculty. If you're walking, it's a very pleasant walk, and then once you are there, it's like a horizontal campus where you don't actually go up and down the building, but basically stay one or two floors up and down. And the building actually works like a horizontal campus. So if you were to undo this building and take the green and the yellow and the red, and you were to stack them horizontally, it would be like a traditional campus. But in this case, it is stacked vertically. Okay, next. So this is the master plan that we were asked to do, which we have completed with very major accommodation of facilities. So on the left, we start with the tower that we saw, which is number 8. And then we have the student building. Then there is the conference building. Khalid, you want to keep pointing those if you don't mind? Yeah, then we have then we have the conference building, and then we have a research building that is on number 9, and then we have clinics, which basically are along a concourse, which is a pedestrian concourse, and then goes to the diagnostic building, and the two hospital buildings are the existing buildings, and we are going to add a private wing. So you can see, even though we just started with those two buildings, which were one was finished and one was being completed, the whole campus was actually woven around it, but it is fully integrated and looks like we started out with the whole thing. So that's the way we've kind of woven into the original buildings. Next. So this is how it looks when it's all done as a tower. On the left, the academic, the university portion on the left, and then the rest of it is the hospital on the right. Next. So there are some images of how we have designed. We are using rammed earth, and maybe it'll be maybe in our next presentation or other presentation, we'll talk about rammed earth. It is basically using dirt and compressing it. Next. These are some images of the academic campus on the top right and left, and then the next one is actually a view of the courtyard facing the diagnostic building, and the right at the bottom is the view of the university area. Next. So these are some of the images of what this campus is likely to look like. So if you see the bottom left corner, you can see a courtyard that people are walking out. And so there are series of sitting steps that are there that actually wrap around this building. And there are courtyards that happen every few floors. As you turn around, you basically have courtyards. The top left is the main entrance lobby of the hospital. On the top right is a view from the private wing drop off, and on the bottom, you have what we call the healing gardens, which are going to be gardens that will be set up on top of the roof of the private wing, where patients and families can come up and enjoy the outdoors and also relax with their patient families. Next. So this is the tower. It's a green building, basically not only looking green, but actually in green in terms of environmental stewardship. We are looking at net zero or very close to net zero. It'll be gold or platinum LEED standard. Next, the Aga Khan University. This was a project, a large project. Of course, everybody, all of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the Aga Khan University in Karachi. I was part of the original design team that worked on the project in Boston with Payette Associates. And then I came to Karachi to do the research on local materials and palette of materials and led the interior design team and the architectural team. So we did all the interiors of the project in Karachi. And then we also, with the team, we delivered the project. We had some 30 people working with us, and Tariq was one of my right-hand persons working through the project. We used extensive local materials, local techniques, and created a lot of employment and continue to provide employment on the project as it's completed. Next, um, Khalil. So our first, at least my first introduction to Karachi was I saw clinics that were like this and some traditional architecture that I saw. And the bottom right is a very important building that you're seeing, where a lot of learnings actually for the Arkan University actually came from. So you see wind catchers, which are the signature of the Arkan University with the sloping roofs. We've got a lot of courtyard behind this wall. There are courtyards, and the whole campus of the Arkan University is built on the idea of campus, which is a large campus, but a series of courtyards that give you human value, give you, it is not an overwhelming campus, but a campus which has got a very good humanistic feel to it. And then, of course, the jali that you see is also been integrated to provide not only shading, but privacy also. Next. These are some of the local techniques. One of the interesting things that I will tell you a little story. Um, when I was in Karachi, there had been some studies done on how we were going to do the exterior cladding, but one day I was driving along, I think, one of the main roads, and as I turned, I saw an old man, Rahim Baba, who was actually working on a wall. And I stopped the car and I went up to him and I said, "What are you doing, Rahim Baba?" And he said, "Well, we are doing this wall. It was a garden wall, and they were doing what we eventually termed as a something called weeping plaster. If you see the image on the right corner, you see this person actually pouring cement and sand mix, and the top left corner, that the bottom left corner that you see, this is actually the material, how it actually looks. So it is an idea that we had, but we didn't know how to implement it. This basically gave me the ticket to how to implement it, and you can see that the cladding actually provides shading, and therefore it's cool. The most interesting thing is that Rahim Baba actually did a sample for me, and then eventually I convinced the management that we should actually have him do the project. And he brought his sons and they came to the site. And for generations now, not 1 or 2 years, generations, this family is continuing to do this work on our project. Similarly, we did the work for the woodwork, and the story is too long. And similarly, there are stories for the ceramic tiles. We leave that for another day because we want to continue. So this is basically the original campus of the Aga Khan University, which has now grown a lot. And we've participated in three buildings on this campus since it was completed. And of course, Tariq has been involved in all the buildings that are significant on the project since I completed the project. This was both on the main campus and eventually three other buildings. Next, Khalil. Khalil. Okay, so this is the overview of the campus. And you can see, even though when we built originally it was 1 million square feet, we are probably at 1.8, maybe 2 million square feet right now. But you can see it's all interconnected courtyards. It make you feel very comfortable in it. And it is not. Hello. So next
Can you
slide,
mute
Khalil.
yourself? Everybody else, please mute yourself.
Next slide just shows you some images of different areas of the projects that we have designed and or have designed but may not have been built, but they are conceptual designs and the design. So let's keep going. Khalil. Yeah, so these are views from the women's residence areas, some sitting areas outside the courtyards, the main wing of the main private wing with a pond that we created for emergency water that would be stored, and there are filtration system that would allow the water to actually be used in an emergency situation. Next, Khalil. Yeah, so this is the kind of experience and the in the left bottom left is the two new
Infectious
buildings.
disease concern next and cardiology concern next.
Can we have whoever is talking be on mute, please? Okay. These are the Juma Research Building and the Community Health Sciences Building, and a very happy and comfortable environment for whoever is on the campus. Next. Some of the academic spaces. And Khalil, Tariq, you know who this person is, right? In the bed. We took this photograph. It's Muhammad Ali, remember our T-boy?
All right. Okay.
Okay, so that's the academic space. Sorry, our patient rooms next, and all the different facilities, emergency entrance, the ORs, and the physiotherapy, etc. Just keep going, Khalid. Lots of labs. This is a microbiology lab. Next, lots of lecture facilities, library, dean's office. Next. Big auditorium, more lecture theater. And the reason why I have this is a very important building that Tariq worked on after the project was completed. Khalil, kya kar rahe bhai? Okay. But what we're really saying is that this is one building that was done, but there were numerous buildings that at least I was involved in three buildings, and Tariq was involved in numerous buildings. Too many to actually put in this presentation, but you know, buildings from birthing areas to X-ray facilities or new what was the Janabai building. Many buildings were added that were basically to augment the already strong campus that we had on site. Next. Next slide. Yeah, this is the Center of Innovation. Next. This is the project that Khalil and I worked on together. Just to mention that when we did the buildings, when I did the buildings, after I finished AKU, the three buildings that we worked on, Mukhtar was our local person, and he basically led the project from conception, from the design when we completed the design, and then eventually through all our work sessions, he brought together all the local teams and we delivered the project. And funnily enough, at that time, Tariq had become the boss from the owner's side. So Tariq was overseeing what we were doing. So it was a really interesting thing that all of us three have some relationship and connection to the project, both in various different capacities. So this was the next project we're talking about is the Aga Khan University in Nairobi, and I told you a little story about how Khalil and I were invited and we won this project, and it's a 140,000 square foot building, heart and cancer center, and they gave us a site that was right at the back of the building, back of the campus, and it has other facilities, including maternity and a lot of other diagnostic facilities. And we argued with the client, and we explained to the client that this is a building that is going to generate more traffic on this whole hospital than you have ever had. And we were able to convince them that we should design the building in such a way that you would actually have all the traffic run through this building. So let's go through the images and we'll get a good idea. So if you see the building on the left was the original building, and our building was tucked right back where you see behind the tree. Khalil, you want to just point the building right behind the tree? No, behind the tower. That would have been our building. And we basically convinced the management that in order for you to have such a building, what you need is a gateway. This will be the signature of the project, which was not there. So the buildings were all over the place in the campus, and there was no central place where people would understand that this is a building to come to. And then we provided the elevator towers and waiting areas in this tower and created this main entrance area. So just keep going. And this is the main entrance courtyard. Next. We suggested there would be a cafeteria integrated at the bottom of the old building that was not utilized, and the tower at the back. Next. Next slide. So it's cafeteria, and this is the main entrance courtyard with fountains, etc. Next. These are all the different clinics. So these are all the reception area for the clinics. Next. This is the intensive care unit. Next. Reception area for the cardiac unit. Next. And these are the kind of waiting areas that we created in the tower. So because we added this piece that was beyond the program, we had the ability to actually provide some good waiting areas that had views of the courtyards, etc. Next. A lot of diagnostic and treatment areas, surgery, etc. And we were then invited to participate in the design of a major expansion in Dar es Salaam, and we completed all of the design work. Just keep going, Khalil. And we did all of the conceptual design work and all the working drawings. And eventually, there was a major change in the program, and it sat for a while. And then Payette Associates were brought in to do a full master plan. So this building was not completed, but we had pretty much done everything that was necessary for them to have built it. Next. So how it again integrated with the original campus that was there. There's one building on the campus, and this is how we linked it all up. Next. Views of the diagnostic, all the reception areas, waiting areas, etc. Next. And then Tariq was involved in the French Medical Institute in Kabul. It was a major expansion of the building, and this is basically the imagery of how it was integrated into the project. Major facilities were added. Then we did a design competition and won the competition for a small birthing center next in Nairobi, where basically this was going to be kind of a referral birthing center to the main Aga Khan University Hospital in Karachi. So there was a small old building, and we added to it. Then we were working with the Aga Khan University, who was looking at adding a whole series of little hospitals around the region in Kenya, and we came up with this idea of a micro hospital which had a vision of flexible, human-centered hospital which was scalable, and it was a prototype that was proposed to management, and we were hoping that it would take place. It'll go into force at some point, but these were thoughts that we had actually instilled in management to see how these referral hospitals would happen in the periphery of Nairobi and in Kenya generally. Next slide. So this is a small hospital that we were proposing, which was scalable. Next. Then we did a concept for a small hospital. It was in, what was in Khalil? It was in Indonesia or Malaysia? Indonesia. Indonesia, right? So Khalil, you can go back to your full screen. Yeah, and it's a modular hospital, scalable, and very small, but very rural, but very easy to build, and very simple low-rise building, but basically having critical diagnostic and treatment facilities. Next slide. So just some image of what it is. We can see very local in its execution and its architectural language. Next. Yeah, no elevators, just ramps, etc. So then we did a competition for a major hospital in Nairobi. This is a 700-bed hospital. It was an international competition, and we submitted the scheme, and we had the winning design. Next slide. We had a winning design of this campus, uh, and politics and bribery basically moved the project to somebody else. So, but it was the winning scheme for this campus. Next slide, Khalil. It had the medical college also as part of it, and again, it drew from the local vocabulary of the architectural language was from the local Nairobi context, and how we actually saw the podium of the building, basically taking cues from the local patterns of the jewelry, etc. in Kenya. Next. Main concourse. And I'm not going to go through this thing. You can see from 1986 to 2025, we've consistently won year after year, award after award, competitions, publications, etc. So next slide. And I'm not going to go through this thing, but we've got list. It can be maybe 3, 4 pages, but just some examples of our hospital experience. So with that, we can go to the next slide, Khalil. So this is our understanding of the preliminary brief. That next slide, Khalil. The size of the plot, of course, we're aware is 2,000 yards. We want to build a world-class facility, 50-bed private neurology hospital, and to be open on a charitable, viable basis. We will bring intelligent hospital and architectural design should create a healing environment that will be attractive, and the hospital will be a modern, green, sustainable building and built to the highest standards. So this gives you a background of who we are, what we do, how we are all together, and we are here ready to serve you. So basically, go to the next slide, Khalil, and we can have a conversation on all of these aspects, which is budgets and next steps. But first of all, feel free to ask me any questions or any clarifications that you might have, and then we can go into a discussion. So either I didn't do a very good job or everybody liked what we saw. Any comments? Any
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. We are looking forward to, your initial presentation for our project. Obviously, you are very experienced and have done great projects. So we look forward to
Okay.
work.
Yeah. So what we have done is that we have actually done an initial analysis of the site and how much we can build, etc. But we felt that rather than us actually tell you what can and can't be done, we want to hear from you today. We want to have this meeting as a conversation for you to fill us in on what your vision is, what your thoughts are, how we want to proceed, what your budget on the project is. And then we can tailor another meeting that we can actually meet and have a meaningful conversation about your specific project. We wanted to situate ourselves first so that if you are comfortable with the team that you're talking to, we can actually work with you and you feel that we can work with you. We want to hear from you your vision firsthand, what your aspirations are, what your budget is, and then we can fill in and all of us can have a conversation about your specific project. So I leave it to you now to basically lead.
Uh, Zulfikar bhai, is okay for me to go ahead and
Please go ahead, Anwar. Go ahead. I think since you are the one that started the whole thing, so it's best that you give the vision.
sure. So the idea, and I can share with you, is that we want to have this facility in Karachi with primarily two aspects of services. One would be primary care, which is sorely lacking for the general population in Pakistan and creates huge medical problems down the road. And neurology, which again is largely missing from the medical scene in Pakistan in general and in Karachi. And what we want to do is make these services available to those who are in greatest need and are unable to afford, as medicine is largely private in Pakistan, and given the economic conditions, a large proportion of the population is unable to afford it. But we don't want to compromise on the quality of care and the respect to the patients. There are a lot of people who do charity work, but we in general are not satisfied because patient is not the center of those projects. So our idea is to develop the project where patient is at the center of it, not the physician, not the management, not anyone else, but the patient. And we want to provide this to the people who are most in need, and we want to provide it in a way uh, with uh, uh, with the respect that all patients deserve. So this is the background. We have we have this piece of land. As you know, it is not a huge piece of land, but I think this is probably enough. With your help, we will be able to use it as at least the starting part of the project. And a little bit about neurology itself. Neurology has undergone tremendous change in my lifetime. I'm a neurologist in the last 40 years that I've been doing it. And neurological care is largely lacking in Pakistan, both acute care and chronic care. And we want to become a center where we can provide both of these. Uh, you know, the most common neurological illnesses that afflict society and have a huge burden on the society are illnesses like Parkinson's disease and epilepsy and stroke and neuropathies and so on and so on. So we want to become the center for providing these services. At the same time, we want to focus on quality, not just quantity, and quality in the sense of what we provide to the patients. And we want to become the center eventually for training the future generation of neurologists and doctors. So training and teaching will be an integral part of what we do. So this is a brief description. You know, I'm sure there are aspects that I did not discuss, and if you can ask me questions about it, I'll be happy.
Thank you. Khalil, you want to ask any questions?
Yes, there are too many questions as a preliminary for which I think this meeting is not appropriate because it will take unnecessarily long time. If Dr. Anwarul Haq is leading the programming of the project, I think we can have a separate session. We can fix up a day because this, what he has told, is very general and generic. But when it comes to like combining primary and neurology, the neurology program dictates the site, and then the primary care takes a lot of space away from the site, you know. So those things have, I don't want to say yes or no. My approach has always been, Farooq, you know, that we have the information provided of the impacts of certain things that can happen in what we want to do for the future, and then they take an informed decision and let us know. So the program, it's better for all of us to spend more time on programming the project first. Then what happens is you come up with a spatial requirement for what you have decided, which will be plus or minus 20% of the space you will need at this stage of the planning. And that is where you will decide what actually you can fit on the site reasonably. And then the effects of the bylaws and all come into place, and the FAR comes into place, etc. And then, you know, it's the budget also that comes into place. So more important is we can understand for a 50-bed neurology hospital with primary care, what would be the budget. Basically, we have to work within the constraints of the budget, or whether it can be achieve what they want to do, because the structure has to be built now. It's a very small site. We cannot construct in two phases. Possibly that the architects may advise better, but we have to look at it holistically, at least for the time. Then buying the equipment and, you know, commissioning parts of the hospital can come in phases, but those are serious discussions we need to have, and we cannot complete them with this. And we, having known what he has said, I can prepare a detailed list of questionnaire for Dr. Anwarul before we have the meeting. So he is prepared, we are prepared. Hello?
I think, Khalil Saab, I think you've raised some very important questions there. And I agree with you that the initial planning is extremely important, and the programming, so that the whole project moves accordingly. In terms of the budget, let me just clarify one point here, that at the moment, we did not have any budget in mind. Let's put it this way. I mean, we have been open to it. We will have to raise the funds for it, and we are very keen to raise for the funds for it. our organization is a relatively young organization. And within this short period of time, we have moved pretty fast by creating those two clinics and also acquiring the land. And it's where once we set the requirements into place and we have that conversation with you there, where we also start getting an understanding as to what this thing might look like. I mean, maybe there could be a range that we say that if we're going to go with the very base stuff, this is where we're really at. And if you're really going to go for the Rolls-Royce model, then this is what we're really talking about. So the budget at the moment, I don't think that we have any specific budget in mind. Let me be very clear on that point here. But inshallah, we do have an outreach by where we expect that we'll be able to have the funding for this project. There are a lot of people that are very keen to support us for this project here. But you're right, as far as that the programming is concerned, your questions definitely need to be answered. And Dr. Anwarul Haq, and of course, there could be a couple of other doctors here who may want to join in, and they can sit with you and answer whatever questions you have.
I think there is an important aspect that has just been raised. One is the medical planning and the facilities that will actually go into this building, and whether once we've done the overall programming, et cetera, to understand, having work sessions with you and your team, will get us to a situation where we understand what can go into the building. In parallel, there are things that we need to basically establish. One is from the local scene, from the local bylaws, etc. What can be done? What are the restrictions? We've done some initial early analysis, but we need to be sure. Zoning bylaws and bylaw requirements are changing in Karachi, and they are forcing people to do things that they may not have envisaged when they purchased the land. So we need to make sure that all of the viability of the project is not compromised because of changing situations in Karachi related to the regulatory requirements. That's one aspect of it, and that can be undertaken by people that are local or connections in Karachi who are local and give us the local input through Mukhtar and or other people that Mukhtar will basically engage with. The other thing is that budget is not known, but Tariq has got a lot of experience in building in the region, and he will probably throw some light on what the construction cost of a project like this may be. We have some idea based on the Memon project that we're doing at the moment, but Tariq has done many more buildings here in Karachi, and he will give us an insight on what the numbers might look like. But what we need to be aware of is that when we start a project, what we have to have is a vision of a budget that everybody buys into. But in order for you to start, you need to have some seed funding to make sure that all of those people that are doing all the thinking for you in the front end can be paid their fees and whatever requirements are there to basically get to a point where, for example, we may get to a concept stage of the project where you will use the imagery that we will create, the kind of imagery that you saw in this presentation, to go out and raise funds. And it could become a fundraising tool for you. But you have to be able to have the initial seed money in place and then a vision of how much you want to raise based on what you're going to do. I know that there is always concern about having money, all of it up front, but the site is very small. So you always, in this kind of situation, want to build the whole structure, and we can shell certain areas or we can defer medical equipment. But in this particular site, we cannot actually say, oh, we're going to just build the 2 floors on the ground and then we're going to add it later. It's too small, and too cumbersome for you to be able to do something like that. So our recommendation would be that you build a full structure, and then if you don't have the funds, then we can defer some of the shelled areas can be finished later, or medical equipment can be deferred in certain areas, and then you augment it. But Tariq, you want to have a comment on this, please? Some thought.
Yes, thank you, Farooq. So, like they say, you tailor your coat according to the cloth you've got. In this case, we have our plot of whatever size we've got, and and like Farooq said and Khalil said that we have to look at the bylaws and also the programming. So the size of the plot dictates that, and with the bylaws available, it dictates that the area which will be buildable there will be about 60,000, 65,000 square feet, plus a little bit more because of exemptions given by the bylaws. And then, like Khalil said, we have to do the balancing act between the primary care and the neurology. And hence, that's the starting point. You're looking at about a project of about 65, 70,000 square feet. And then how much emphasis should there be on the primary care? Should neurology be pushing things out if that is the case, or primary care be pushing things off if that's the case? So we will need to have this dialogue as we go along. Coming to the cost of the project, I've recently done a hospital in Pakistan, and the estimate worked out about a year ago. It's still not under construction yet. The estimate worked out a year ago, which is not including equipment, is 25,000 or maybe 27,000 rupees a square foot. So given the inflation and the rupee dollar parity coming into picture, I would say we're looking at probably 30,000 rupees a square foot, and multiply that by 70,000 rupees, 70,000 square feet, you'll get your project cost. But in a project like this, you need car parking. Car parking on the surface should not be the driving force. The driving force should be buildings, the program being above ground. Car parking should be put underground. And I would say safely you should be able to put 2 levels of parking. So maybe add the area of the parking also. So you're looking at probably $10 to $12 million for the project construction cost. Add the cost of equipment, et cetera, so maybe another couple of million or $3 million. So that's the kind of budgeting which would be recommended by us. Thank you.
Thanks, can we break that up a little bit? Like, initially, obviously, firstly, of course, as Farooq Sahab pointed out, we need seed money. And what is that seed money that we should be talking about? Number 2, once we start the construction, the shell itself, the main shell that the structure that's going to be constructed, out of that 25, 30,000 or whatever is that cost that's going to be for the finished product, what is the gray structure going to cost? So that we know that we can move in stages accordingly. And for us to obviously do this, I'm sure you're also aware that we'll need to put together a proper marketing document that would allow us to be able to raise the kinds of funds that we can proceed with the project. So if you can just give us some indication, some guideline about what those costs might be like.
Of course, yes. So in a hospital project, the structural cost and what you call the gray structure, which includes block masonry, et cetera, for walls, et cetera, you're looking at looking at anything between 35 to 40% of the total construction cost for this.
So close to about 10,000 rupees a square foot, you'd say?
I would say so, yes, which will include your basement for the car parking and any other storage facilities which are required. We would not recommend going any deeper because in Karachi, there's the water table issue and then providing water tanking and waterproofing becomes very costly.
Right.
Tariq bhai, based on what we had discussed and the information you had got, we had done a detailed, just a brief calculation about exactly how much the gray area would cost. Say we take about 63,000 square foot above ground, and 80 below grade would be about 36,000 for the parking. It would work out, and the rate was working out to about 13,091 rupees approximately, working to about 44% for the gray structure alone. As of present. Now, these building costs are for a hospital building structure and not for residential or commercial, which they usually then mix up and say the cost is too much. But this is the actual cost going on at the moment for construction of a hospital building.
So the underlying statement is hospital cost.
Yes.
Primarily because, in this case, you will have equipment, medical equipment, which is heavy. MRI is a very heavy equipment. The structure will have to be designed for that purpose. And then we are looking at maybe flat slab because there is a height restriction also on the site. Flat slab allows you to have a beamless construction that allows you to have more seating space for running ducts, etc. And therefore pack the site as much as possible with physical facilities.
And also larger spans of grid. The grid
Yes,
has to be larger to accommodate the facility.
The span has to be such that it will facilitate not only the medical workings above ground, but also the car parking below ground, because the two have to jive together. You cannot have inefficiencies created because of columns coming into spaces where they should not be.
Right. What about the seed capital? What kind of seed capital do you estimate that we would need for this?
By seed capital, you mean getting the entire
to get the whole project
design?
Going? No, I think
design.
I'm not sure exactly.
Or the soft cost? Do you mean the soft cost or getting the construction up and running?
See, the construction, of course, is coming later, right? Right now, you are at the initial design stage so that we start moving the project, getting the initial designs done. And once the initial designs are done, you probably are going to go into the detailed designs, then call for your tenders and get your contractors in place, and then you would go on to the construction. So the construction, I think, is a little later, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So what is the seed money? The seed money that Farooq Saab talked about, that's what I'm interested in knowing.
Yes. So we call that soft cost in Canada. Soft cost is all the consultancy fees and the local authority fees, etc., etc. So I cannot talk about the local authority part over there because there is the over-the-counter and below-the-counter costs involved there. I'll hand over to Farooq about the soft cost for consultancy fees if he wants to talk about that now or come back to you later on.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to actually say, but I think what you need to be aware of is that in a project which is going to be $12-15 million, whatever it is that we're looking at, what I'm hearing and I've done this on a number of charitable projects is that the clients will tell us that, look, we don't have money right now, but we want to make sure that we're doing a project that we can actually present to our investors, our donors, and we want to be able to show show them a model, show them pretty renderings, and say, well, this is the kind of thing that we're proposing to do, and use that as a marketing tool. So what you're talking about, a conceptual design, that would be the very first thing that you would need to do. And
Right.
that conceptual design, so if you look at the overall costs of fees, they vary, but we are not the cheapest in the world, but we are probably the best in what we do. So we don't try to compete with the lowest fee that somebody can give you to do A or B or C. We will give you a fair fee to do what we need to do, and we would structure our work in such a way that we will shift a lot of the work that is costly to be done in Pakistan rather than to be done in North America, which basically makes it much more expensive. At this stage, what you need is to basically come up with some funds to basically do a concept of the project, which may be in the range of 100, $150,000 kind of range that you should budget, which would basically bring you to a level that you have one. And this is not going to be done until Khalil and your medical team have had a situation where they've had full work sessions, and we've come up and we've identified what the program is going to be like, what the size of the building is exactly going to be, what the distribution is going to be, because those layouts will actually affect how we actually the amount of work that goes into it. And at the end of the day, what will happen is that we will basically take all of that into account, come up with a concept. And Khalil, you know what we did in Nairobi, right?
Yeah.
After all the work sessions with the user groups, etc. And what we do is to try and fit the program to actually meet with the vision of what you had and tie it together. So in Nairobi, we were able to deliver the building. The final design was done within 500 square feet of the what we had programmed. So that's how the level of efficiency that is there. So this goes into detailed design, but at least we have to have the right allocations for each one of the functional areas to be able to forecast that, okay, fine, on this floor, this is what is going in, the next floor, this is what is going to go in. And when we lay the what we call the block diagrams, we'll identify how much space will actually be required. We'll look at all the adjacencies of where the different functional areas are, and then come up with a building. So the building will have multiple driving forces. One is the context, its geographical location, its proximity to the streets, etc. What we want the vocabulary of the building to be, where it is drawing its vision from, and then it is driven by what is in the program. So what is going to be inside? So how the fenestration of the building will happen, and how the massing of the building will look like, and how the arrival and drop-off sequence will work. So those are all important things that need to be addressed, even though we may be at a schematic level. So if you are looking at that budget, this is the kind of budget that you should start initially, to a point where you could have renderings and initial block diagrams that you can actually show to people to say, hey, these are the kind of facilities that are going on. This is the kind of building that you're likely to see. And then you go out and fundraise. But I don't know what your time vision is, because the longer you keep it, the more difficult it is for the design team to basically hold the fees. So, if you say that, let's say, for the sake of discussion, I'm not suggesting that that is the fee, but let's say for the sake of discussion, the design fee was 10% of the construction cost. And it may be today, but if you want to drag this thing for another 4 years to get to a point where you've got funds to do the job, then those fees may not be the same.
To add to what Farooq just said, inflation is a killer. I was doing a project in Cairo hospital, which the client engaged me for before the Gaza war happened. And he got frightened of the Gaza war, and he stepped back. Now he's thinking of doing it again. And the estimate has gone up by about 30%, because the inflation in Egypt is around 12 to 15% per annum. So that's how expensive things can become in just a couple of years. Pakistan is very similar to what's happening in Egypt.
No, I'll give you an example. It's not only overseas, but in Canada also, we had designed a concept for a building, and the project cost at that time was $5 million, and and we sort of the project dragged because of COVID, et cetera, et cetera. 5 years later, we are doing the same project at $14 million. So the key is that once you decide, you need to have the funding in place quickly and move quickly to avoid these kind of things happening. And as you go along, sometimes people get new ideas, and scope creep is another killer on projects where, oh, we did this thing 3 years ago, but now what we would like to do is this. And then you go make the changes and you have to adjust the design, and you're beginning to add cost to your project. So the idea is to have a good vision statement, a good program, run with it as fast as you can. I know that you are not uh, doing it on a commercial basis. You're basically raising fund, but the key would be to do it as quickly as possible to avoid escalation in costs as we go along.
I think I
Any
agree with you.
thoughts?
That is, time, of course, is money. We fully understand that and realize that. And since I've been in projects myself, but of course not in hospital projects, I built various projects in Pakistan, particularly in the energy sector. So I know that if you are able to complete the project within the specified time period, then there are no overruns, and you are pretty much able to do it and cap the costs. So really, in order for us to move forward, I think there are two or three things. One is, as you rightly pointed out, that you need to have that meeting with Anwar and a couple of other doctors here who may be able to answer the questions that you have. And we need to develop that essential concept document that would allow us to move forward. As far as the seed money is concerned, we'll discuss that amongst ourselves, but I think that is something that should be doable for us to be able to raise that kind of money to start up, like in the range of 100,000 or so, to be able to start the project going. But really, for us to be able to raise the funds, we have to rely on you to get to that stage, because unless we get to that stage, we cannot go beyond it. I mean, I cannot just go out there and talk up in the air and say that, hey, we're building a neurology hospital. Do you have $15 million to give me?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not going to happen.
Absolutely. We've done many projects like this where, the concept of the building and the imagery of the building, is your selling point. That's what is going to bring people to say, hey, this is what you're going to do. At least they can relate to something that is tangible, that they can see.
There is something which I want to help Mr. Zulkadir Saab achieve what he intends to do. And I think we have to be crystal clear into the steps that we need to take to achieve that. Right. The meeting with Dr. Anwarul Haq, which I indicated, was just to help him and you people to get us a brief of the project, because brief is very important, and that's what I want to discuss. So whatever questions arises, you will have to answer yourselves based on the discussions I have with your people, and then you have to come up with a brief. To do that brief and to move anything forwards, the best thing is to have a letter of intent first. Then I have this preliminary discussion where you develop a brief. Once the brief comes, then we are in a position to develop a fee proposal and the methodology of how the project will work. And that's when the programming of the project starts. If we follow the sequence, and Zulkadir Sahab, you've done engineering projects, so you understand what I'm saying. that the pre-design phase starts once we have a proper brief and we understand the project and come to a interface where we are on the same page. And then if we move, we can really move fast.
Right. Agreed. I think, unfortunately, I'm actually beyond my time. I really have to run. I will leave it to yourselves and Dr. Anwar and the other doctors here to try and set up another meeting time whenever you can mutually agree upon. And let's proceed and let's see how you can get the base information that you're looking at and then move forward and try and get to that proposal point as well as to the conceptual document.
So my moral duty is first to give you a questionnaire to at least start a discussion and preparation for that first meeting where Dr. Anwarul Haq, etc., we can develop a brief. That will be the
Right.
first step that I will have to take. I will need a few days. Here the Christmas holidays are coming, but everywhere else people are working, so we are still busy. But I will say give me a week or so, and I could develop a detailed questionnaire and
Right.
then I can send it across to all of you, and that would be the base start. Based on the discussions, we get a brief, and once the brief is come, Farouk can give a fee proposal to get this moving, and we'll give it stage wise. What is going to happen and activity wise, entire project methodology and the fee components per stage of that.
Right. Fine. I think that's good. The only thing is that obviously, since we're working as a team, and you know that this is primarily a charitable project, it's not money that I'm pouring out from my own pocket alone. So we will have to work towards that essential objective that where we can achieve this project at the lowest possible cost. Obviously, we are not going to compromise on the quality and what we're going to deliver, as Dr. Anwar already pointed out. So let's have that in mind and let's move forward and set a time, and we'll wait for your questionnaire, and then we can set up the time for you to have a one-on-one meeting. And inshallah, we see how the whole thing progresses, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So before we sign off, I would request that somebody can prepare a directory of name, titles, telephone numbers, email addresses.
Yeah, we have those. I'll forward that to you.
All right.
No
and is there a single point of contact in your group?
Good question. Anwar, would you like to be the point of contact, or?
Yeah, I think it should be you, of course.
Okay, I can be the point of contact, no problem, at least for now. And as things progress and there is a greater need for somebody else to be the point of contact, we'll change that. So for now, I'll be the point of contact.
Yeah.
As you go along, you'll obviously need a dedicated project manager on this job.
Yes.
Takes over from.
Yes, that we are aware of.
I think one point of contact is critical.
Yes. That's right.
So the next step is for us to receive a questionnaire from you, Mr. Khalil?
Yeah, that will help you focus and,
Absolutely.
Because as a physician, I understand you may have 30, 40 years of experience, but what I have found is the physicians see the front side after it is completed. Although they may be involved in renovation projects and expansion projects, I need to have answers for which they may not have thought of. And if you don't have answers, we'll make some assumptions. So those are the things which are very important. That other workshop will start once I send you the brief and we have a fee proposal, then we can start. The first thing is to send a letter of intent immediately to Farouk so that I can start preparing the questionnaire.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to engage with you. We know the commitment. I see the commitment and passion with which you are thinking of the project, and it is highly commendable that you're thinking of doing this for the more unfortunate people in Pakistan who are lacking these services. And we will endeavor to do our best. One one big interesting story that I always share with my clients at the beginning of our projects is that I was making my first presentation to His Highness the Aga Khan's brother, Prince Amin, and he told me, "Do you know what the difference between a good architect and a great architect is?" So I said, "I don't know." So he says, "Young man, the difference between a good architect and a great architect is that a good architect goes into a store, looks at a $50 tie, and is happy to pay $50. But the great architect goes into the same store, buys a $5 tie, and you think it's $50. So you have to remember this for the rest of your career, which I do. So a lot of our projects may look like they are $50 ties, but they are actually $5, and we don't compromise on quality, but we look at the client's requirements as far as budgeting is concerned.
Right.
And I was going to show you from working with Farooq, he'll go to the nth degree to improve the design, to the detriment of his own time, because he spins his wheel in improving things.
Right.
Dr. Anwar, where are you located? So I'd have the time zone correct.
I'm Central Time. I'm in Oklahoma City.
Okay. That helps.
I'm in Virginia, by the way, in the Eastern time zone. And most of us are either in Central or in the Eastern time zone. Almost all the people are.
All are.
So I'm on Eastern and Farooq and
we are on the West
Pacific time.
Right. Okay.
So all three time zones.
Okay, that would
be and Khalil is in. Mukhtar is in Pakistan time. Right.
Yes.
So
actually, I don't know whether you're aware or not, but Mukhtar Bhai and I go back 55 years.
Yeah, he told me you were at university together.
Yes, we were in Turkey together.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say is that this project, the whole way we approach, Farooq, Tariq, and myself, is not just your project. We want to set up a project which will be a beacon for others to, copy or look forward
emulate.
And build. That's how emulate, what you call. And the country grows that way. What I am seeing in Pakistan is I'm doing now 3 projects in Pakistan. What I'm seeing is the lack of enthusiasm to bring it up unless you show something to them that can be done. And I think your project as a neurology project can become a beacon for even the existing hospitals who may be great, but they wouldn't know what neurology really involves. And that's the reason I want to have that questionnaire prepared. That is the only reason.
Right. I fully agree with that.